All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The clock is ticking for the New York Giants and Pro Bowl running back Saquon Barkley to come to an agreement on a contract extension. Now, the Giants placed the franchise tag on Barkley back in March as both sides were unable to come to an agreement on a long term deal, but they were still hopeful that they could work out a contract extension for the running back. Now, that has not been the case, obviously, as 4 months later, there's still no deal. And if the Giants and Barkley are unable to reach an agreement by Monday at 4 p.m., then both sides are going to be unable to talk turkey on this deal until the end of the 2023 season, which would then also give Barkley the ability to talk to other teams around the National Football League next offseason as well. Now, how did we get here? I have several factors, that I'm thinking about, and I'm going to start with one right here. Current Giants general manager Joe Shane was not the guy who drafted Barkley. And I've said this before, he's not attached at the hip with him. Then, on top of that, Shane is a guy who focuses heavy on analytics, and he does not value the running back position like others might. And of course, some guys around the league right now that are running front offices are heavy on analytics like Shane. They're not going to focus on the running back position like some of the old school guys might have. Now, with that said, the NFL as a whole has really devalued the running back position over the last couple of years. And a clear example of that this offseason is that Miles Sanders, who was Barkley's backfield mate at Penn State, he got a 4-year deal for $25 million from the Carolina Panthers. That was the biggest deal that a running back has gotten so far this offseason, outside of Josh Jacobs getting franchise tagged by the Raiders. But with that said, we've also seen the Minnesota Vikings release Pro Bowl running back Dalvin Cook this offseason. He's looking for a new team and a new big contract. More than likely, he's not going to get it. Ezekiel Elliott and Leonard Fournette are also some of the names that are still out there looking for work. And of course, if you're the Giants and you're looking for reasons not to give Saquon Barkley a long-term deal, the first thing that you're going to look at and talk about is his injury history. Saquon has only appeared in 16 games in the regular season, and of course, now the NFL has a 17-game regular season, but nonetheless, he's only been able to do it twice. His rookie season in 2018, where he had 261 carries with more than 1,300 yards on the ground, 11 rushing touchdowns, as well as being a solid receiver coming out of the backfield for the Giants that year with veteran quarterback Eli Manning. He had 91 receptions for 721 yards. This past season, as the Giants turned things around and became a playoff team, Saquon Barkley had 295 carries, more than 1,300 yards again, 10 rushing touchdowns, and then 57 receptions coming out of the backfield this year for New York. But even with all of that said, and even for every reason that the Giants may not want to give Barkley the money that he feels that he deserves, it's a scenario where both sides need each other. Saquon is looking to get his payday from the Giants, yes. And on top of that, the Giants need Saquon Barkley. Why? Because Saquon Barkley is the heart and soul of the Giants team. Saquon Barkley is the leader of this Giants team. There's nobody else that's even coming close to him on that. And I guarantee you this: if Saquon Barkley is not there for the upcoming season, I'm just throwing this scenario out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Saquon Barkley isn't out there, I think the tenor of that team is different because he sets the tone, both verbally in the locker room, verbally on the football field, and as well with his play as well. And you think about the lean years that the Giants have had, and you think about the transition last year for the New York Giants to Joe Shane as the general manager, Brian Daboll as the head coach, when they needed somebody to step up and be a leader for this team. Saquon Barkley, stepped to the forefront and he answered the bell. And the thing is, when you have a guy in your fold that is a leader, it's not as easy to go out there and replace that guy, regardless of the position, because of the impact that he brings on game day, the impact that he has in the locker room. Those are factors right there that also need to be accounted for. And like I said, the Giants cannot afford to have this young man not being on the field for them this season. He's a heartbeat of this team. He's also a security blanket coming out of the backfield as a receiver for Daniel Jones. He has gotten better as a pass blocker throughout his career. And he is the Giants' biggest home run hitter as far as carrying the ball. Now, I know he didn't have a good 2021 season as he was working back from that knee injury, but the Giants didn't have a very good offensive line. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll did their part to start turning things around for that offensive line last year. Giants' offensive line is still a work in progress. I get it, but Saquon was their home run hitter coming out of the backfield last season. Giants cannot afford to not have him. The Giants, have committed a lot of money to Daniel Jones, their quarterback. They've also brought in and tried to improve the skill positions around Daniel Jones with the wide receivers, as well as bringing in a tight end such as Darren Waller, the former Raiders tight end. But nonetheless, all of that is nice. All of that sounds pretty. But if you don't have that impact guy at running back, guess what? It's not going to happen. I'll take you back to another generation. You think back to the Dallas Cowboys after they won the Super Bowl after the 1992 NFL season. And I'm not saying that Saquon Barkley is Emmett Smith, but you think back to that 93 season. Dallas lost their first two games of that season. Why? Because Jerry Jones and Emmett Smith could not come to an agreement on a long term deal, and Emmett was holding out. And yes, you had that great offensive line in Dallas. Yes, you had Troy Aikman at quarterback. Yes, you had Michael Irvin at wide receiver. But the heartbeat of that team was their ability to run the football with Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith got paid. The Cowboys won 12 out of the last 14 games. And of course, the rest was history as they went on to win an NFL championship. My point is this: you don't want to play around with this if you're the Giants. You don't want to play around with this if you're Saquon Barkley. You want to get this deal done. And I think right now, we've talked about Joe Shane. You're hearing a lot of different things in the media as far as the guaranteed money, things that Barkley turned down. Some of it might be true, some of it may not. I'm not even here to speculate. Okay. I don't know those things, and I'm not going to act like I know. But one thing I will say this: the John Mara factor is coming, because I know that John Mara, the Giants co-owner, for the most part, has stayed out of the way since Joe Shane came on board, and that's one thing that he wanted to do, because we've heard about the Mara family, the rumors as far as the Mara family meddling in team business and wanting to be involved and not meddling to mess things up. Obviously, they want the Giants to succeed. It's a family business, but nonetheless, you have to put trust in the people that you hire. Now, with that said, John Mara is still the type of guy that if he wants a guy to be in his fold, if he wants a guy to be a part of his organization long term, he's going to go out there and get it done. I think that John Mara wants Saquon Barkley to be a New York Giant long term. He likes this young man as a person, but he also likes what he brings to the organization. And of course, liking somebody and being able to sign them is two different things. It's a friendship, but it's also a business, and you got to be realistic with it. But I do think that John Mara, his stroke, if you will, with this organization will come into play at some point. So, of course, the clock is ticking. The start of training camp is around the corner. And of course, the question is going to be, will Saquon and the Giants get come to an agreement on a long-term deal? I'm optimistic that it will happen, because you still got this weekend to go out there and get it done. And I think the best way to get a deal done is if both sides are talking. Yes, there is a stalemate right now. Yes, there probably has to be a level of frustration from both the Giants as well as Barkley's representatives. But at the end of the day, I truly do feel that Saquon Barkley wants to be a New York Giant. I truly do feel that the New York Giants want Saquon Barkley. They just have to get back to the table and talk. And I think at this point of the game, especially with the clock ticking on this deal, it's a scenario where neither side is going to fully get what they want. Saquon is going to get some type of legitimate offer, in my opinion, because I don't see him playing on the franchise tag, and I don't see him also taking the chance of sitting out all of the upcoming season, because then to me that's only going to hinder his value even more heading into next off season. Just ask Le'Veon Bell how that worked out for him several years ago. But nonetheless, the clock is definitely ticking on this deal. I think it gets done. I mean, there wasn't maybe there was a little less optimism as far as the New York Jets and Quinnen Williams getting together and agreeing on a deal. They just got together and agreed on a 4-year, $96 million deal today after Williams was frustrated earlier in this offseason when he saw so many other players at his position, most recently, of course, Dexter Lawrence with the Giants getting big deals after their rookie contracts. So Quinnen Williams got his deal. Of course, the start of training camp is right around the corner for the Jets. And I think that is going to be the case for Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants. Of course, the media is going to talk about it in the New York area as they normally do in these situations. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is the nature of the beast. I'm not going to say it's a game of chicken between the Giants and Saquon Barkley and his representatives, but obviously both sides want to get what they feel is best for them. At this point, it might not be the best, but I think what they're going to get is still better than absolutely nothing. Saquon wants his money. He wants to be paid and respected. I think he will. I think the Giants will get this done, and they will have the heartbeat of their team going forward. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.